My beloved child, listen very carefully. This is not a random moment. This is not an ordinary message. This is an emergency warning from Archangel Michael, and it has reached you because heaven has marked this exact second. The title you saw was not exaggeration, and it was not written to scare you. It was written because time is collapsing, and a final window is about to close. Archangel Michael is stepping forward now, not with a whisper, but with authority. He says this is the final time you will hear this before tomorrow midnight. There will not be another gentle nudge. There will not be another repeated sign. At exactly 10:10 p.m., something dangerous and unexpected is set into motion, and it connects directly to your life, your covering, and the decisions you have been delaying. You may feel a strange tension in your chest as you hear this. That is not fear. That is recognition. Your spirit already knows this message is real. You have sensed that something is off lately. Small warnings, interrupted sleep, sudden thoughts that make no sense. That is not anxiety. That is the alert system God placed inside you activating right now. Archangel Michael says there has been a repeated attempt to get your attention. You ignored the first sign, thinking it was coincidence. You brushed off the second, telling yourself you would deal with it later. And the third, you felt it clearly, but chose comfort over obedience. Heaven had been patient, but patience does not mean permission. This warning is not about punishment. It is about protection. There is a moment approaching where something unexpected will attempt to enter your space, emotionally, spiritually, or through a decision that looks harmless on the surface. But underneath it carries danger. Not always loud, not always dramatic. Sometimes danger arrives disguised as normal. Archangel Michael says tomorrow before midnight is a dividing line. What happens at 10:10 p.m. is not random timing. 10 is the number of divine order. When it repeats, it signals alignment or exposure. Something hidden will try to surface. Something you trusted may reveal a different face. Or a door you thought was safe may suddenly feel wrong. That feeling is your cue. God says, if you ignore this message one more time, even heaven may not be able to help. Hear this clearly. This does not mean God is powerless. It means your free will matters. Heaven will not override your choice. If you knowingly walk past a warning, you step outside the covering prepared for you. This is why you were told to open this right now. Not later. Not after you finish scrolling. Because delay is the enemy's favorite weapon. Delay feels harmless, but it slowly disconnects you from urgency. Archangel Michael says urgency is your shield in this hour. You might be asking, what exactly is going to happen? And the answer is intentional silence. Because if you knew the exact form, you might try to outsmart it instead of obeying God. This is about posture, not prediction. Are you alert or are you distracted? Are you listening or are you assuming everything will work out like before? Something dangerous and unexpected does not always mean physical harm. Sometimes it is a conversation that shifts your future, a message that pulls you into compromise, an agreement you make out of pressure, or a decision made in exhaustion instead of prayer. That is why this warning matters. Archangel Michael is standing guard right now, but he says protection activates fully only when you acknowledge the warning. That is why you are still here listening. The fact that you did not scroll away is already a sign that your spirit is choosing alignment. God is saying, I am not trying to scare you. I am trying to save you time, pain, and regret. He sees beyond tomorrow midnight. He sees the ripple effect of one wrong step. And he also sees the relief, the peace, and the safety that comes when you choose to listen now. Do not treat this as just another video. This is a checkpoint, a pause before movement. Heaven is asking you to slow down, become aware, and prepare your heart. There are specific instructions coming, but they will only make sense if you stay present. Archangel Michael says, what you do with this message determines what happens next. That is why this moment feels heavy. That is why your attention is locked in. This is not coincidence. This is calling. Take a breath. Let this settle. The next revelation will connect the dots you have been missing, and it will explain why 10:10 p.m. matters more than you think. Chosen one, hear this with clarity and calm, because what Archangel Michael is revealing now is meant to steady you, not overwhelm you. After the warning you just received, heaven does not leave you in confusion. God never alerts without also preparing. This next revelation is about awareness, timing, and why your spiritual sensitivity has been increasing in recent days. Archangel Michael says the reason this message feels heavier than others is because the situation around you has been quietly building. You were not imagining the sudden changes in your environment, the unusual delays, the small disruptions that seemed meaningless. Those were not accidents. They were pressure points forming, slowly, deliberately, waiting for the right moment to activate. Tomorrow before midnight marks a threshold, not because something evil is stronger than God, but because cycles end and begin at appointed times. Heaven works with order. So does the enemy. At 10:10 p.m., there is an overlap moment where choices carry more weight than usual. This is when distraction becomes dangerous and discernment becomes critical. Archangel Michael is showing that something in your life has been asking for your agreement. Not loudly, not forcefully. It had been subtle. A thought you keep revisiting. A situation you keep tolerating. A connection you keep justifying. You have felt that inner check more than once, but each time, logic talked you out of obedience. That is the real battlefield right now. God says, I warned you because I love you. This is not about condemnation. This is about course correction. Heaven is giving you a chance to step back under divine alignment before something locks into place. Some doors, once walked through, cannot be closed easily. That is why this moment matters. Archangel Michael explains that danger often comes disguised as urgency. It pressures you to decide quickly, to respond emotionally, to act before praying. If you feel rushed tonight or tomorrow, pause. The pause is protection. The enemy hates pauses because they give God room to speak. You might notice people acting strangely around you, or communication becoming unclear, or plans suddenly shifting. Do not panic. This is exposure, not chaos. When things surface unexpectedly, it is because they can no longer remain hidden. What is revealed now can be avoided. What is ignored becomes harder to escape later. God is asking you to guard your words during this time. Do not make promises lightly. Do not agree to things just to keep peace. Do not sign, commit, or decide from a place of fatigue or pressure. Even small agreements can open large doors. This is not the hour for autopilot living. Archangel Michael says your intuition is sharper than you think. That quiet discomfort you feel is not negativity. It is discernment. The world has trained you to override it, but heaven is asking you to trust it again. If something feels off, it probably is. You do not need full explanation to obey a warning. This message is also about responsibility. Once you are alerted, you are accountable. That is why God said ignoring this one more time carries serious consequence. not because he withdraws love, but because he honors your choice. He will not force protection on someone who chooses to walk without it. Now listen carefully. If this message is resonating, it means you are already responding correctly. Awareness itself activates protection. Light disrupts plans made in darkness. Simply being conscious of this timing weakens what was meant to surprise you. This is also why sharing this message matters. Someone connected to you may be standing at the same threshold without realizing it. When you like this video, comment, and share it, you are not just supporting a channel. You are participating in a warning that could redirect someone's future. Subscribing and staying connected keeps you aligned with ongoing guidance that heaven is releasing in this season. And when you hype this message, you help push truth into places where silence could cost someone dearly. Archangel Michael says there is a reason you were drawn here instead of somewhere else. Heaven trusts you with urgency. That means you are stronger than you think. You are not late. You are right on time to choose differently. God is also saying to simplify your surroundings tonight. Reduce noise. Reduce unnecessary conversations. Create space to hear clearly. This is not isolation. This is preparation. Even Jesus withdrew before pivotal moments. Silence sharpens discernment. As tomorrow approaches, do not obsess over the clock. Obsession creates fear, and fear clouds judgment. Instead, remain steady. Remain prayerful. Remain alert. Nothing can overpower someone who is aligned and attentive. Archangel Michael is still standing guard, but he says the next revelation will clarify what actions to avoid and what posture to hold. This is where many people miss it. They hear the warning but skip the instruction. Do not make that mistake. Hold on, because what comes next will connect directly to something you have been questioning for a long time, and when you hear it, everything will suddenly make sense. My dear one, what Archangel Michael reveals now is the heart of why this warning could not wait. This is not just about avoiding danger. This is about exposure, alignment, and a divine interruption that was scheduled long before you ever sensed something was wrong. Heaven is not reacting late. Heaven is intervening precisely on time. Archangel Michael says there has been a covering over you that you did not even realize was active. Certain things that should have harmed you never fully formed. Certain plans against you never reached completion. That was not luck. That was restraint. But restraint only holds as long as you remain within alignment. This is why timing matters now more than ever. There is a pattern God is pointing out. Every time you came close to a breakthrough, something distracted you. Every time clarity arrived, confusion followed. This was not random resistance. It was an attempt to wear you down slowly so that when the critical moment arrived, you would be too tired to discern. But Archangel Michael says that strategy has failed because you are awake now. The danger mentioned earlier is not always visible. Sometimes it is spiritual drift. Sometimes it is misplaced trust. Sometimes it is silence when you were meant to speak, or speech when you were meant to wait. The enemy does not need to destroy you outright. All he needs is for you to step out of position at the wrong time. God says, I am correcting your course before impact. That is mercy. And mercy always arrives with urgency. The reason this feels intense is because love is active right now. Passive love would have stayed silent. Active love speaks even when it is uncomfortable. Archangel Michael reveals that at 10:10 p.m., there is an attempt for agreement. Not force. Agreement. Something will try to pull a yes from you. It may come as pressure, guilt, fear of loss, or the desire to keep peace. But heaven is asking you to delay that yes until you hear God clearly. A delayed yes is often a protected no. This is also why your dreams have been vivid lately. Why memories from the past resurfaced unexpectedly. Why unresolved emotions suddenly felt louder. These are indicators of transition. When transitions come, everything unhealed tries to speak. But not everything that speaks deserves a response. Archangel Michael is instructing you to anchor yourself in truth, not emotion. Emotion fluctuates. Truth remains. You are not responsible for fixing everything right now. You are only responsible for obeying what God highlights. That is enough. There is also a reassurance coming through this warning. God says you are not weak for needing this reminder. You are human. Even Elijah needed rest. Even Peter needed correction. Needing a warning does not disqualify you. Ignoring it would. This is the moment where many people either step into clarity or repeat cycles they swore they were done with. Heaven is offering you an exit ramp. You do not need to understand every detail. You only need to respond with humility and attentiveness. Archangel Michael says, protection is active when awareness is active. Stay aware. Stay grounded. Stay connected. The very fact that you are listening this deeply means something inside you is choosing life over comfort. And now hear this carefully, because this is not a suggestion. This is a ritual of alignment. Type I receive divine protection in the comments if this message is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 888 has just been released over your life. This is not about the words themselves. It is about your agreement with heaven's timing and instruction. And now, listen closely to this moment, because it is sacred. I hear the Lord saying, if you have been fed, now feed others. This message is not meant to stop with you. When you support this mission, you are not funding a channel. You are sowing into souls that are standing at the same dangerous crossroads you were just warned about. Every seed you release becomes light in someone else's darkness. Just as Scripture says that those who sow generously reap generously, this is a living word for you right now. Your support becomes oil that keeps this warning burning, fire that spreads truth, and manna for those who are starving for direction. I feel led to tell you directly, this invitation is for you. If this message protected you, then your response becomes prophetic. Do not delay obedience when God is prompting action. Open heavens follow obedient hands. When you give through super thanks, membership, with a PayPal link in the description, you are responding to a divine nudge, not making a donation. I speak blessing over every giver right now. May what you release return multiplied. May clarity increase. May protection strengthen. May doors open that no warning could stop. This is not charity. This is covenant. Act now. Do not reason it away. Obey the stirring. Heaven is watching your response, and reward follows obedience. Beloved soul, now that the warning has been released and alignment has been reestablished, Archangel Michael speaks with clarity rather than urgency. This phase is about stabilization. When heaven interrupts, it does not leave you shaken without direction. It steadies you so that you can walk forward with discernment instead of fear. Archangel Michael says the greatest mistake people make after receiving a warning is overreacting. They begin to scan every detail, question every person, and assume every moment is a threat. That is not what God desires. Hypervigilance weakens trust. What heaven wants from you now is calm alertness. A grounded awareness that listens more than it reacts. You may notice that your emotions are settling even as the message remains serious. That is intentional. Fear never comes from God. Conviction may feel heavy, but it brings clarity, not panic. If you feel peace beginning to return, that is confirmation that you are back under divine covering. Archangel Michael reveals that the danger spoken of earlier loses power the moment you choose obedience. Many outcomes are conditional. Heaven sees possibilities, not just fixed events. When you align yourself, certain paths simply dissolve. What was meant to happen cannot happen the same way once light had been introduced. This is why God did not show you every detail. If He had, fear might have driven you instead of faith. Now you are being asked to walk forward without obsessing over the clock, without replaying the warning, and without assuming the worst. Trust is your posture now. There is something important you need to understand. Not everything uncomfortable is dangerous, and not everything familiar is safe. Discernment is not about labeling everything as a threat. It is about recognizing where God's peace remains and where it lifts. Peace is the signal. Archangel Michael says to pay attention to where your peace decreases suddenly. That is often where boundaries are needed. Do not explain away discomfort. Do not silence it to appear agreeable. You do not owe access to everyone who asks for it. God is also reminding you that rest is part of obedience. After warning comes recovery. If you feel tired, allow yourself to slow down. Exhaustion clouds judgment. Rest sharpens it. Even warriors pause to sharpen their weapons. This is a moment to return to simple practices. Prayer that is honest, not dramatic. Silence that listens, not strains. Scripture that anchors, not overwhelms. You do not need to do more. You need to stay aligned. Archangel Michael mentions something subtle but critical. He says the enemy often returns after a warning, not with danger, but with doubt. You will whisper that you imagined this, that you are overthinking, that nothing was ever going to happen. That voice is not truth. It is an attempt to disarm you after you have already chosen correctly. Do not argue with that voice. Simply remain steady. Truth does not need defense. It only needs consistency. God says, I am pleased with your response. That alone should quiet your heart. You did not ignore the warning. You leaned in. You listened. That matters more than you realize. Many people never pause long enough to hear heaven at all. There is also encouragement coming through this moment. Archangel Michael says that because you responded, something else is now being released. Favor often follows obedience quietly. You may notice small things resolving. Conversations becoming clearer. Confusion lifting. These are signs of recalibration. You are not being watched with suspicion by heaven. You are being guided with care. Correction is not rejection. Warning is not withdrawal. It is protection in motion. As you move forward, resist the urge to explain this experience to people who will not understand it. Some things are meant to be carried privately. Discernment includes knowing what to share and what to keep between you and God. Archangel Michael encourages you to keep your spiritual environment clean over the next day. That means guarding what you listen to, what you watch, and what you allow to influence your thoughts. Not out of fear, but out of respect for the sensitivity of this moment. Remember this truth. You were not singled out because you are in danger. You were selected because you are trusted. Heaven does not warn everyone like this. It warns those who are capable of responding. God is not finished speaking. What comes next will deepen your understanding of why this season feels different and what role you are meant to play beyond simply being protected. Stay open. Stay steady. Stay listening. My precious one, what Archangel Michael speaks now is deeper than warning and stronger than reassurance. This is revelation. After protection is restored and peace begins to return, heaven often unveils the reason you were targeted in the first place. Nothing happens without cause, and this moment in your life is not random. Archangel Michael says the intensity around you exists because of what you carry. There is an assignment on your life that disrupts darkness simply by existing. You do not need to preach loudly or confront anyone directly. Your obedience alone creates resistance in places you never even see. That is why pressure has followed you quietly for so long. You may have wondered why things felt harder for you than for others, even when you were trying to do the right thing. Why delays appeared just before progress. Why misunderstandings followed moments of clarity. This was not because you were doing something wrong. It was because you were moving in the right direction. God says, I guard what I intend to use. Protection increases around purpose. Warnings intensify before elevation. This is a pattern throughout Scripture. Before Joseph was promoted, he was tested. Before David was crowned, he was pursued. Before Esther was positioned, there was a threat. Pressure often announces proximity to destiny. Archangel Michael reveals that what was approaching was not just about harming you, but about discouraging you. If the enemy could not stop your progress, the goal was to slow it, confuse it, or make you question whether it was worth continuing. That is why the danger was subtle. Loud attacks are easier to resist. Quiet erosion is not. God is restoring your confidence now. Not arrogance, but assurance. Assurance that you heard correctly. Assurance that your instincts are not broken. Assurance that obedience was a right choice. Doubt dissolves when truth is reaffirmed. There is something else being exposed in this season. Archangel Michael says you are learning the difference between being kind and being compliant. Kindness flows from strength. The eyes of those who are confident. Heaven is teaching you to say yes without betraying yourself and no without guilt. This lesson is critical for where you are going. The next level of your life will require discernment with people, not just situations. Not everyone who smiles is aligned. Not everyone who offers help is sent. Discernment will protect your peace and your purpose. God is also healing something in you that you may not have named. The fatigue you felt was not just physical. It was the weight of constantly having to be strong, aware, and responsible without feeling fully supported. Heaven saw that. This warning was also a reminder that you are not alone in guarding your life. Archangel Michael says angels are reassigned when awareness increases. That means new forms of protection activate when you grow. You have not been left exposed. You have been upgraded. Now listen carefully. The season ahead is not meant to be rushed. After moments of intensity, God often slows the pace so that wisdom can settle. Do not pressure yourself to make big moves immediately. Let clarity mature. Let peace confirm decisions before action follows. You may feel a renewed desire to reconnect with God in a simpler way. Not because you are afraid, but because you are grateful. Gratitude is a sign of alignment. When you thank God not just for outcomes but for warnings, you demonstrate trust. Archangel Michael also says to release self-blame. You did not fail because you needed a warning. You succeeded because you responded. Growth is not measured by never needing correction. It is measured by how quickly you adjust when correction comes. There is also restoration happening quietly. Things you thought were lost may return in new form. Opportunities may reappear with clearer boundaries. Relationships may reset with healthy dynamics. This is what recalibration looks like. God says, I am not just keeping you from harm. I am positioning you for influence. Influence does not always look public. Sometimes it looks like stability. Sometimes it looks like wisdom that others seek. Sometimes it looks like peace that confuses those around you. As you move forward, remember this moment. Not with fear, but with gratitude. This was a divine interruption that protected your future. You did not miss it. You did not ignore it. You listened. Archangel Michael stands not as a warning now, but as a witness. A witness to your obedience, your humility, and your willingness to pause when heaven spoke. A choice echoes further than you know. What comes next will build on this foundation, showing you how this experience was not just about survival, but preparation. Stay open. Stay grounded. Stay connected. My beloved one, Archangel Michael now shifts the message from revelation into responsibility. This is where many people receive insight but fail to integrate it. Heaven does not speak just to inform you. Heaven speaks to transform how you move, choose, and remain aligned in everyday life. What you do after a warning determines how long its protection lasts. Archangel Michael says that after moments of divine interruption, life often tries to return to normal quickly. Responsibilities pull at you. Noise resumes. Familiar patterns attempt to reassert themselves. That is why this phase is critical. Integration is more important than intensity. A single moment of awareness must become a sustained posture. God is asking you to live slightly more slowly than before. Not in fear, but in intention. Rushed decisions created vulnerability in the past. Thoughtful pauses will now become your shield. You do not need to explain why you are taking your time. Obedience rarely needs justification. You may notice that certain conversations feel draining now, even if they never bothered you before. That is discernment increasing. You are becoming more aware of what pulls you out of alignment. This is not about cutting people off abruptly. It is about limiting access to your inner space. Archangel Michael says boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They allow what is nourishing to enter and keep what is harmful out. You are allowed to protect your peace without apology. Heaven does not require you to be available to everyone. This is also a season to be mindful of what you agree with mentally. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every worry deserves rehearsal. If a thought brings confusion, pressure, or fear, pause before accepting it. Ask whether it produces peace or clarity. God's voice may correct, but it never condemns. There is something important about your voice right now. Archangel Michael reveals that silence protected you before, but discernment will now require selective expression. There will be moments where speaking gently, but clearly will prevent misunderstanding later. Do not fear respectful honesty. Truth spoken in love carries authority. God is also highlighting consistency. Protection is not maintained by one prayer or one moment of obedience. It is maintained by daily alignment. Small choices matter. What you consume mentally, who you confide in, how you rest. These details create spiritual stability. You might feel an urge to withdraw completely after everything you have sensed. Resist oscillation. Isolation weakens perspective. Connect with what strengthens you, not what drains you. That balance is key. Archangel Michael says you are entering a phase where discernment will feel quieter, but stronger. You will not always feel intense warnings. Instead, you will notice gentle clarity. Do not mistake calm for absence. Calm often means things are in order. Now hear this clearly. If this message has been guiding you, grounding you, and protecting you, staying connected matters. When you like this message, comment and share it. You help anchor it in your own spirit and extend it to others who are quietly searching for direction. Subscribing keeps you aligned with ongoing guidance that heaven continues to release. And when you actively support this space, you help ensure these warnings reach those who need them before it is too late. Archangel Michael says obedience often looks simple but carries eternal impact. A shared message can redirect a life. A comment can encourage someone who feels alone. A subscription can keep you connected to truth when confusion is loud elsewhere. There is also a reminder here above: attention. Where your attention goes, your spiritual sensitivity follows. Choose content that sharpens you, not numbs you. Choose voices that bring clarity, not chaos. You are more impressionable than you realize during transitional seasons. God says, I am not asking you to be perfect. I am asking you to be present. Presence keeps you alert without exhausting you. Presence allows God to guide moment by moment rather than forcing you to plan everything in advance. Archangel Michael reassures you that what was meant to surprise you has lost its advantage. Light has already interrupted the plan. Now your role is to remain steady, not anxious. Trust the covering that has been restored. Before you move on, let this settle deeply. This next phase will reveal how everything you just experienced fits into a much larger picture. The connection may surprise you, and it will bring clarity to something you have questioned for a long time. Hold on, because what comes next will tie all of this together in a way you did not expect. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now draws your attention to something subtle yet powerful that has been unfolding beneath the surface of your life. This part is not about warning or correction. It is about understanding. When understanding settles in your spirit, fear loses its grip, and confusion no longer has authority over your decisions. What you experienced recently was not an isolated event. It was a signal that a season was closing. Closings often feel uncomfortable because they require release. You may have sensed a quiet grief without knowing why. Not because something bad happened, but because something familiar is ending. Familiarity can feel safe, even when it limits growth. Archangel Michael says there are patterns you have outgrown, even if they once served you well. Certain habits, expectations, or roles no longer fit who you are becoming. This can create inner tension, because part of you wants stability while another part longs for expansion. Heaven recognizes this tension and is guiding you through it gently. God says, I do not remove without replacing. What is leaving is making room for something more aligned. But replacement does not always arrive immediately. There is often a quiet in between where faith is strengthened and clarity is refined. Do not rush to fill the space. Let it remain open long enough for discernment to settle. Archangel Michael reveals that some of your recent restlessness was not dissatisfaction, but invitation. Invitation to grow, to refine your priorities, to simplify what has become unnecessarily complicated. Growth does not always require more effort. Sometimes it requires less attachment. You may notice that your tolerance for chaos has decreased. Situations that once felt manageable now feel draining. That is not weakness. That is maturity. Your spirit is learning to recognize what costs too much peace. There is also healing taking place around trust. You have learned to rely on yourself because others were inconsistent. While self-reliance kept you safe, heaven is now teaching you to discern trust. Not blind trust, but guided trust. Trust that flows from wisdom, not fear of disappointment. Archangel Michael says this lesson will protect you from isolation. Independence is useful, but connection is necessary. The key is knowing who and what to allow close. This discernment will become one of your greatest strengths in the season ahead. God is also reframing your understanding of success. Success is not constant motion. Success is alignment. You can be busy and misaligned, or calm and exactly where you need to be. Heaven measures progress differently than the world does. You might feel less urgency to prove yourself lately. That is a sign of inner stability forming. When you no longer need external validation, you are free to move at God's pace rather than the world's pressure. Archangel Michael speaks of restoration happening quietly. Not dramatic miracles, but steady rebuilding. Confidence returning. Joy resurfacing in small moments. Peace becoming familiar again. These are not signs of stagnation. They are signs of healing. There is also clarity coming regarding a decision you postponed. You did not delay out of fear. You delayed out of wisdom. Now the fog is lifting, and what once felt confusing will soon feel obvious. Trust that timing. God says, I am teaching you to listen without strain. Listening does not require tension. It requires openness. When you stop trying to force answers, answers often arrive naturally. Archangel Michael encourages you to honor the progress you have made. You are not where you started. You see more clearly. You respond more thoughtfully. You pause instead of reacting. That is growth. Do not underestimate how much has changed internally, even if circumstances look similar on the outside. Inner shifts often precede external ones. Foundations are laid before structures rise. There is a sense of preparation in this moment. Not preparation driven by fear, but by readiness. You are becoming someone who can carry more responsibility without losing peace. Someone who can discern truth without becoming rigid. Someone who can stand firm without becoming hardened. God is not rushing you. Heaven is patient because the work being done now is deep. Deep work lasts. Shallow change fades quickly. Archangel Michael stands as reassurance, not alarm. His presence now signifies stability, not urgency. The storm has passed. The ground is steady. Now it is time to walk forward with confidence, not looking over your shoulder. What comes next will invite you to step into this new clarity in a practical way. It will not be overwhelming, but it will be significant. Remain open. Remain grounded. Remain willing. This journey is unfolding exactly as it should. My beloved child, Archangel Michael now speaks from a place of confirmation rather than correction. This part of the message is meant to seal what has already been established in your spirit. When heaven confirms, it strengthens. When it strengthens, it prepares you to carry what comes next without fear or confusion. You have crossed a line internally, even if nothing dramatic changed outwardly. There is a new firmness in your spirit. A quiet knowing that you did not have before. That knowing is not pride. It is discernment becoming rooted. Rooted discernment does not panic when uncertainty appears. It observes, waits, and responds with wisdom. Archangel Michael says the reason this season required so much attention is because your next steps carry influence beyond you. Influence does not always mean leadership in the visible sense. Sometimes it means being a stabilizing presence in environments that lack peace. Sometimes it means being the one who does not react when everyone else does. That restraint alone changes outcomes. God is reminding you that you are not meant to return to old cycles just because they feel familiar. Familiar does not mean safe. Familiar does not mean aligned. You have grown, and growth requires new rhythms. You cannot protect new clarity with old habits. There is also a reminder here about obedience without applause. Much of what you are doing now will go unnoticed by others. That does not diminish its value. Heaven measures obedience by alignment, not recognition. Some of the most powerful shifts happen quietly. Archangel Michael reveals that your spiritual sensitivity is stabilizing. Earlier, it felt intense. Now it will feel clear. This is important. Intensity without clarity can exhaust you. Clarity brings sustainability. You are entering a phase where discernment feels less like pressure and more like confidence. God says, I am entrusting you with peace. Peace is not passive. Peace is authority under control. It allows you to walk into uncertain spaces without absorbing their chaos. You may notice that your reactions are changing. Things that once triggered you now feel distant. Conversations that once drained you now feel manageable or optional. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional maturity. Archangel Michael says this is also a season of alignment in provision. When obedience settles, provision often follows in unexpected ways. Do not limit how God can support you. Sometimes provision arrives through clarity, sometimes through opportunity, sometimes through people being repositioned in your life. There is also an invitation here to trust the process. You do not need to see the full picture to walk forward confidently. You only need the next step. God rarely reveals the entire path at once, because walking by faith strengthens discernment. Now hear this carefully, because this is a moment of sealing. Type I walk in divine alignment in the comments if this message has settled something deep within you. Blessing code 1212 is now activated over your life. This is a declaration of agreement, not with fear, but with clarity and obedience. I sense the Lord saying, what you have received freely, now help release freely. This message did not arrive by accident, and it is not meant to stop here. There are others standing at invisible crossroads, unaware of the danger or the redirection available to them. Your support helps this word reach them in time. When you give through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are sowing light into places where confusion still reigns. This is not about sustaining a platform. This is about sustaining a flow of warning, clarity, and protection. Scripture speaks of seed that multiplies after it is released, and this is one of those moments. I feel led to speak this directly to you. Your obedience in this moment is a response to God, not a transaction. Delay has no place here. When heaven prompts, response matters. I bless every person who supports this mission. May what you release return to you as peace, protection, and provision. May doors open that no warning was needed for because wisdom went ahead of you. This is a prophetic act, not a donation. Obey the nudge. Act now. Heaven honors swift obedience. Archangel Michael stands as witness again, not to warn you, but to affirm you. You are walking correctly. You are listening well. And what unfolds next will show you how all of this was preparation, not interruption. Stay present. Stay aligned. Stay ready. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now invites you into a deeper layer of awareness that many never reach because they move too quickly past moments of alignment. This part is about integration at the soul level. What has been revealed, confirmed, and sealed now begins to reshape how you see yourself and your future. You may notice a quiet confidence emerging that does not seek validation. This confidence feels different from motivation or excitement. It is steadier. It does not rise and fall with circumstances. That is because it is not emotional. It is rooted in clarity. When clarity settles, striving fades. Archangel Michael says you are no longer responding to life from survival mode. Survival mode reacts first and understands later. Alignment mode understands first and responds with intention. The shift may feel subtle, but it is powerful. It changes how you handle pressure, conflict, and uncertainty. God is also revealing something important about timing. You used to feel behind, as if you missed opportunities or arrived late to certain moments. That perception was never accurate. Heaven operates on readiness, not speed. You were not delayed. You were being prepared. This realization heals frustration you carried quietly. You no longer need to compare your pace with others. Comparison clouds discernment. When you release it, peace expands. Archangel Michael reveals that some of your earlier struggles were not obstacles but training. Training your discernment. Training your patience. Training your ability to stand firm without becoming rigid. You are being shaped for consistency, not bursts of intensity. God says, I value endurance over impulse. Endurance sustains purpose when emotions fluctuate. You are learning how to remain steady even when circumstances shift. That steadiness will soon become a source of reassurance for others. There is also a refinement happening in how you view responsibility. You are releasing the belief that you must carry everything alone. Responsibility does not mean isolation. It means stewardship, knowing what is yours to carry and what is not. Archangel Michael encourages you to release unnecessary weight. Expectations you placed on yourself that God never asked for. Guilt for things beyond your control. Pressure to maintain appearances. These weigh down discernment. As you release them, clarity increases. Decisions feel lighter. Direction feels clearer. This is not because life becomes easier, but because you are no longer fighting internal resistance. God is also healing your relationship with uncertainty. Uncertainty no longer feels threatening. It feels like space for guidance. When you are aligned, uncertainty becomes an invitation rather than a threat. You may notice that answers now come in quieter ways. Through gentle impressions. Through sudden understanding. Through peace that settles without explanation. This is not imagination. This is discernment maturing. Archangel Michael says this is how guidance feels when fear is removed. It does not shout. It guides. There is also a shift happening in how you handle conflict. You are less reactive. You pause. You listen. You respond selectively. This does not mean you avoid confrontation. It means you choose it wisely. Wisdom conserves energy. God says, I am teaching you restraint, not withdrawal. Restraint preserves strength. You do not need to engage every challenge to prove your integrity. This season also invites you to celebrate progress rather than chase perfection. Perfection creates anxiety. Progress builds confidence. You are progressing more than you realize. Archangel Michael speaks of restoration that continues quietly. Old emotional wounds losing their charge. Past disappointments no longer dictating present choices. Memories becoming information rather than triggers. This is healing at work. There may also be moments of reflection where you realize how close certain outcomes once were and how different things could have been. Let gratitude rise, not fear. Gratitude anchors wisdom. God reminds you that warnings are gifts, not burdens. They are signs of development, not distance. Heaven does not warn what it does not value. You are now standing in a place of increased clarity and reduced urgency. That balance is rare. Protect it. Do not rush to fill silence with noise or stillness with activity. Archangel Michael reassures you that what lies ahead will not require constant alertness. It will require steady presence. Presence keeps you responsive without exhausting you. As this part closes, allow yourself to rest in the knowing that you responded correctly. You listen. You adjusted. You stayed present. That alone redirected more than you will ever fully see. What unfolds next will invite you to anchor this clarity into daily life in a way that strengthens others without draining you. Remain open. Remain grounded. Remain willing. Beloved soul, Archangel Michael now turns your attention to daily alignment, because revelation without application fades, but revelation practice becomes wisdom. This phase is not dramatic, yet it is decisive. Many people receive insight, feel strengthened, and then slowly drift back into old rhythms without realizing it. Heaven is guiding you away from that pattern now. Archangel Michael says the clarity you carry must be protected intentionally, not guarded with fear, but with consistency. Alignment is not something you enter once. It is something you maintain gently, day by day, through small conscious choices. These choices seem ordinary, but they determine long-term stability. God is asking you to become more selective with your energy. Not everything deserves the same level of attention. You are learning that attention is currency. What you give it to grows. What you withdraw it from loses influence. This awareness will change how you engage with people, information, and even your own thoughts. You may notice that some habits no longer satisfy you. Things you used to tolerate now feel misaligned. This is not restlessness. This is refinement. Refinement removes excess so that focus sharpens. Do not judge yourself for changing. Growth always alters preference. Archangel Michael encourages you to create rhythms that support clarity. Simple routines. Moments of quiet. Intentional pauses before decisions. These are not restrictions. They are stabilizers. They help you remain grounded when life accelerates around you. God is also reminding you that obedience does not mean rigidity. Flexibility guided by discernment is strength. You are allowed to adapt without abandoning values. Adaptation guided by wisdom keeps you relevant without compromising alignment. There is also instruction here about community. Not everyone needs access to your inner world. Choose wisely who you share discernment with. Some people interpret spiritual clarity as judgment. That misunderstanding can create unnecessary tension. Silence can be protective. Archangel Michael says discernment includes knowing when not to explain yourself. You do not owe clarity to everyone. Sometimes obedience looks like quiet consistency rather than verbal defense. This is also a season to reinforce what has been speaking to you. Staying connected to messages that ground you matters. When you like this video, comment, and share it, you are reinforcing truth in your own spirit and extending it to others who may be standing at similar crossroads without realizing it. Subscribing keeps you aligned with ongoing guidance, and your engagement helps this message continue reaching those who need it most. Heaven often uses simple actions to maintain alignment. What seems small to you can be significant to someone else. A shared message can interrupt confusion. A comment can confirm someone's discernment. Staying connected keeps your awareness sharp. Archangel Michael also reminds you to guard against complacency. Complacency does not arrive suddenly. It creeps in quietly when things feel stable. Stability is good, but awareness must remain active. Not anxious. Active. God says, remain watchful without becoming weary. Watchfulness does not mean constant alert. It means attentiveness rooted in peace. You are learning that balance now. You may feel tempted to relax completely and dismiss everything as resolved. While the immediate danger has passed, growth continues. This is not about threat. This is about stewardship of clarity. Stewardship honors what hath been given. Archangel Michael reveals that your next season will involve influence through steadiness. People will notice how you respond under pressure, how you remain calm where others panic, how you choose restraint over reaction. This influence will open doors without force. God is preparing you for conversations that require wisdom more than words. Listening will be just as important as speaking. Do not rush to fill silence. Silence often invites revelation. There is also encouragement here. You are not required to be perfect to remain aligned. You are required to be responsive. When correction comes, you adjust. When clarity shifts, you adapt. That responsiveness keeps you covered. Archangel Michael reassures you that you are not being tested harshly. You are being trained gently. Training builds confidence, not fear. You are capable of carrying what is ahead because you are not carrying it alone. Before this part closes, allow this to anchor in you. Staying connected to this message matters because what follows will deepen how all of this translates into your future direction. This is where insight becomes instruction, and instruction becomes movement. Hold on. This next section brings a perspective shift that will help you recognize how God has been guiding you far longer than you realize, and why this moment was never isolated. My beloved one, Archangel Michael now opens your eyes to a perspective that brings relief rather than pressure. This part of the message is about recognition. Recognition of how long God has been guiding you, even when you thought you were walking alone or making decisions without direction. Looking back, you may now realize that certain outcomes never fully materialized, even when they seemed inevitable. Situations that should have trapped you dissolved. Paths that looked promising suddenly closed. At the time, you may have felt disappointed or confused. But Archangel Michael says those were not losses. They were redirections. God has been shaping your path quietly, often through what did not happen. You prayed for some things that never came to pass, and you wondered why heaven stayed silent. But silence was not absence. Silence was restraint. God was protecting you from outcomes you were not meant to carry. Archangel Michael says hindsight is beginning to bring peace. You can now see how certain doors closing saved you from prolonged struggle. How delays spared you from commitments that would have drained your spirit. How unanswered prayers preserve your alignment. This recognition heals regret. There is a release happening now. Release from the belief that you missed something important. You did not miss it. It missed you. And that was intentional. God says, I am not catching up. I'm unfolding. This moment you are in is not recovery from delay. It is the next chapter arriving at the right time. When you understand this, pressure lifts. You no longer feel rushed to make everything happen at once. Archangel Michael reveals that your pace has been divinely moderated. While others rushed ahead and became exhausted, you were slowed for stability. Stability lasts longer than speed. What you are building now will endure because it is rooted, not rushed. There is also healing happening around disappointment. Disappointment can harden the heart if left unresolved, but clarity softens it. You are beginning to understand that some endings were mercy in disguise. Some frustrations were protection. Some seasons of waiting were preparation. God is restoring trust. Not just trust in Him, but trust in yourself. You are learning that your discernment was often correct, even when you doubted it. This realization rebuilds confidence gently. Archangel Michael says confidence rooted in humility is powerful. It does not boast. It does not force. It simply moves forward with quiet assurance. This is the confidence you are stepping into now. There is also a shift happening in how you view responsibility. You no longer feel responsible for fixing everything or everyone. You are learning to carry what is yours and release what is not. This discernment protects your energy and your peace. God says, I never asked you to carry the weight of outcomes. You are responsible for obedience, not results. This truth frees you from anxiety. Outcomes belong to God. Archangel Michael reveals that the season ahead will require you to trust this truth repeatedly. You will be invited into situations where control tempts you. Remember that guidance flows best through surrender, not strain. You may notice that your prayers are changing. Less asking, more listening. Less urgency, more trust. This is maturity in prayer. Prayer becomes conversation rather than crisis management. There is also a sense of alignment returning to areas that felt disconnected. Work, relationships, inner peace, and spiritual clarity are beginning to synchronize. When alignment increases, life feels less fragmented. Archangel Michael reassures you that you are not behind schedule. Heaven does not operate on deadlines. It operates on readiness. You are ready now in ways you were not before. This realization removes shame. Shame whispers that you should be further along. Truth says you are exactly where you need to be to take the next step wisely. God says, I redeem time, I restoring clarity. You are not recovering lost years. You are stepping into redeemed understanding. That understanding will guide you more accurately than experience alone ever could. As this part settles, allow gratitude to rise. Not forced gratitude, but honest appreciation for protection you did not see, redirections you did not understand, and patience you did not know you had. Archangel Michael stands not as a warrior now, but as a witness. A witness to your growth, your responsiveness, and your willingness to pause when heaven spoke. These qualities will serve you well going forward. What comes next will bring closure to this message and clarity to what God is asking from you moving forward. It will not be heavy. It will be anchoring. Stay present. Stay open. The final revelation is meant to settle your spirit completely. My beloved child, Archangel Michael now brings this message to completion, not with urgency, but with authority and peace. This final revelation is not meant to stir you, but to anchor you. Everything you have heard until now was preparation for this moment of settling, where truth becomes firm inside you and no longer shakes under pressure. Archangel Michael says the reason this warning, this alignment, and this journey felt so layered is because God was not only protecting you from something, but He was positioning you into someone who discerns without fear, someone who listens without panic, someone who moves without rushing. That transformation is now complete. You are no longer standing at the edge of something dangerous. You are standing on the other side of obedience. That matters more than you know. Many people hear warnings. Few respond fully. You did. And because you did, heaven adjusted outcomes you will never have to face. God says, you chose awareness over comfort, and I honored that choice. This is the principle that will guide your life moving forward. Whenever awareness and comfort compete, choose awareness. Comfort fades. Awareness protects. Archangel Michael reveals that what comes next in your life will not require fear-based vigilance. It will require trust-based discernment. You will not need constant warnings, because clarity will guide you naturally. This is what spiritual maturity looks like. There will still be decisions. There will still be challenges, but they will not come with the same weight. You will recognize misalignment faster. You will disengage sooner. You will recover quicker. That is growth. God is reminding you that peace is now your indicator. If peace remains, proceed. If peace lifts, pause. You do not need dramatic signs. Peace is sufficient guidance for those who are aligned. Archangel Michael says you are entering a season where obedience produces momentum instead of resistance. Things will begin to flow more easily, not because life is perfect, but because you are positioned correctly. There is also closure being released now. Closure from old fear. Closure from self-doubt. Closure from the feeling that something bad is always about to happen. A chapter is ending. You are not naive. You are informed and aligned. God says, I do not keep my children in constant alert. I train them to walk in wisdom. Wisdom allows you to live fully without constantly looking over your shoulder. It is the gift you are receiving now. Take a moment to acknowledge what has shifted. You feel steadier, clearer, less reactive. That is not imagination. That is alignment settling into your nervous system, your thoughts, and your spirit. Archangel Michael stands down from warning posture now and remains as confirmation. Confirmation that heaven intervened. Confirmation that you responded correctly. Confirmation that you are covered. Now, this is important. Type I walk under heaven's covering in the comments if this message has sealed peace in your spirit. Blessing code 1440 is now released over your life. This marks completion, protection, and alignment going forward. I hear the Lord saying, what I have protected must now be multiplied. This message was not released only for you. It was released so others could be reached before their warning window closed. When you support this mission, you are not supporting a voice. You are supporting a lifeline. Every seed you sow through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description becomes light sent ahead of someone who does not yet know they are in danger. Scripture declares that those who sow into the kingdom release rivers that never run dry, and this is one of those moments. I speak directly to you now. If this message guarded your peace, redirected your path, or saved you from harm you could not see, your response is prophetic. Obedience delayed loses power. Obedience acted on releases blessing. I bless every supporter right now. May your homes remain covered. May your decisions stay clear. May protection go ahead of you and peace follow behind you. This is not charity. This is covenant participation. Do not hesitate. Do not reason it away. Act now. Release your seed. Heaven honors those who respond when God speaks. Archangel Michael bears witness to this moment. The message is complete. The covering is active. And your future is secure under divine alignment.